Have you struggled with how to tell people that you're getting a divorce? It is by far a shameful moment, a painful moment. It's riddled with all kinds of emotions to tell people this, and telling them before you're ready to actually verbalize it is going to be something that you're going to have to learn some skills to make sure that you don't make a mistake. And I'll explain that to you in a second. My name is Tracy Malone. I am the founder of narcissistabusesupport.com, and I am here today to tell you how to tell people that you're getting a divorce. What I'm going to teach you is my 3-bucket theory. It's in my book, Divorcing Your Narcissist. You can't make this shit up. And what I tell people and my clients is when we tell our story, we have to be careful who we tell it to, because as Brene Brown says, if you tell your story to the wrong people, it could end up being another piece of flying debris, meaning we don't know who to trust yet. And so I tell people in my book and to clients again, is to have a 3-bucket theory. Break your friends and people down into 3 buckets. The first bucket is the highest bucket. These are your besties, maybe family that you get along with, maybe your siblings and your besties, right? They can get whatever they can handle, whatever you can dish out, and they're there for you. They're your besties. They get the whole story. This what happened. Oh my God, all of that, right? If they're in that bucket and you think they're your besties, but they make dumbass comments like, oh, come on, everybody gets a divorce. It can't be that bad. Or, I always really liked him. He was so kind. Are you sure you're making the right choice? Something that is counter to what your decision has been, or someone who sides with the narcissist, as in my second example, not good to tell them anything. They don't get the full story. They go, if they were in that high bucket, they go in the middle bucket. And the middle bucket is friends that can hear less information. We do not want to give every single friend all the details. It's not going to go well for us. So if you think about, again, what is it I'll tell them? And then we go to the third bucket. I'll talk about what to tell each person in a second. But the lowest bucket is church people, neighbors, work colleagues. You can add your own extra people into that bucket, but those are generally neighbors. I had somebody that used to tell their mailman everything, and I said, okay, they're going in the lower bucket. Stop telling the mailman everything. I know it's your friend, and I know that, they come every day at 2 o'clock, but it's for your own protection. The more I call it story barfing, the more you just go, blah, everything's happening, right? What happens is they then ask you subsequent questions. Oh my God, what's happening? Where do you live? Where you go? Where, and all of that. And that's going to make you cry. That's going to break you down and put all the fear in your heart. So again, that lower bucket doesn't need that. If we go into church, we tell someone in the lobby, this happened to me, and then you come out of church and 10 other people know, and they're like, oh my God, Tracy, I just heard you're getting a divorce. And now I've got to repeat the story again. It travels like wildfire. It travels in neighborhoods, it travels in offices, and it travels in churches or any other organization. So be really mindful about who you tell, because the people they tell are going to come up to you and you're going to be hit with those questions that are difficult to answer. The next part of this is to really create almost like an elevator speech. If you've ever been in the business world, you get like a 30-second commercial. If we're in that lower bucket, the 30-second commercial would be something that may not be true, but it'd be like, yeah, we grew apart after all these years, and I'm excited, I'm really okay. I'm excited to see what the future holds. Safe, maybe not true, but they don't need to hear it all. And you don't need to regurgitate it and barf it all out, right? That's a very simple statement. The middle bucket friends get a little bit more information. But again, if they are not on your side and not aligned with you, they go down to the lower bucket. So it's coming up and making a list of questions in your mind that people will ask. And I just gave you one. A couple is like, oh my goodness, where will you live? How will you survive? You haven't worked in 20 years. What are you going to do? Where will the kids go? Will you get them? Will you not get them? You have to have, again, for that probably middle and higher buckets, you have to have some answers in your belt so that you are not blindsided and put into an emotional tailspin. Because again, it's an emotional time. And even saying the words, I remember saying the words and just crying and bawling my eyes out. That's only going to leave you in that state of just repetitive, repeating the story and getting traumatized, traumatized, traumatized. While they have good intentions, you have to protect your heart because they just want the gossip and want the news. And maybe they do care, maybe they're good friends. But here's some of the questions that we want to think about. Again, where we live, just sort of, why'd you make this decision? Or did they do it? And did they cheat? If you want to tell people that they cheated, that's your choice. But opening up that can of worms too early in the conversation to the wrong people could be very dangerous. Because again, if it's a neighbor, it either flies through the neighborhood and then your spouse comes home and finds out that you told everybody and things get worse. So it's about protecting the information. I'm not saying sweep it under the rug and don't, say it's there. You determine who is safe and who is not. That's the key. And if we don't really understand that, we're going to get in trouble. I know I told way too many people too much information, and guess what? I look like the crazy one because they believed my ex was such a good guy and so kind and loving, and that can't be true. Oh my goodness, have you lost it? He's the nicest, right? Barf in your mouth when people say that to you because they don't know the whole story. But that doesn't mean you have to give them the whole story. A lot of people make that mistake. Again, they asked, so I told them. It's what could happen if with this information, if they use it or if it gets back. And again, this sort of thing could happen where you were friends with the neighbor wife, but the husband was friends with your husband. So if you tell the wife and she tells the husband and the husband tells your husband, it's a triangulation thing that's not going to end well. So it's knowing people's loyalties and knowing who you can trust, first of all, right? Think about what parts of the narcissist behaviors that you want to share, whether it's financial abuse, whether it's the lies, whether it's the gaslighting, whether it's the betrayal, whatever it is. Be careful who you share it with, right? Going around and calling someone a narcissist, it certainly it's the truth, but again, to the right people, bucket high, bucket middle, definitely tell them the truth. The church people, the work people, they might not understand it and they might, it could end up ending badly for you. So what parts are you going to tell them? Are you being controlled? Um, you know, talk about your feelings. When they do this or when they try to control me, I feel helpless, hopeless. I'm walking on eggshells in my own house. Use verbiage like that will kind of cross the line to understand the narcissist behaviors. Because if you go and look at any red flag checklist, it is literally, gonna have these things in it, and they can make two and two and put it together on their own without you having to share that kind of information. So I hope this has helped. Just a little bit. It's actually a chapter in my book. I describe the buckets and really pinning down the people and keeping your heart safe. Because telling the wrong people isn't going to end well for you. Because now you've got more people calling you, texting you, go, oh my God, are you okay? And if you want that, that's great. But every time someone texts you and says, are you okay? You might go back into trauma. So that's just my little tip for the day. And I hope to see you again. If you are listening on a podcast, thank you so much. Visit me on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, I've got a podcast. If you haven't visited my website, narcissistabusesupport.com, we've got hundreds and hundreds of resources for you. So I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.